So, um, obviously, we'll discuss whatever anybody needs to discuss, but I'm still really excited about the idea of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be a good way to implement a lot of what Alexis has taught us and use the challenge to engage with the audience, to get an audience excited about what we're creating, and then possibly at the end of the challenge, whether it takes a month or two, launch the collection and then use the sales series just to be able to use a lot of what Alexis has taught us to, make some magic.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Okay, so what I would like for us to discuss is what you would like to create for the challenge, and so what you would like to create, where you would like to create the engagement. Do you want to do it on Facebook? Do you want to do it on Instagram? Do you want to do it in person? And if we can all come together and come up with ideas to support each other, and maybe somewhere mid-October when we have sizable collections, we can share.
You're not watching TV. Oh, I'm on a conference call. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Good to see you.
Sure. Yeah, we can share each other's collections either in blog posts. We can do little interviews to share with our. I think it's going to. I think if we pursue this, there are going to be so many. Some movement.
I've just been reading and watching about guest bloggers on your website, and apparently that's one of the things, the way to go. So if we were kind of guest blogging for each other, that would just be amazing.
Exactly. Yes. Because what happens is, I even have a sheet of paper here where one of my activities is to interview people, because what that does is the interviewee shares the interview with their audience.
Yeah. Brilliant idea. You're brilliant.
Thank you. I don't feel it, but thank you.
No, you are. All right. Except this crazy English lady says you're brilliant, so you're brilliant.
Absolutely.
So let's discuss what we would like to create, and we'll talk about ways to, make it happen. Of course, in addition to anything that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Alison?
You want me to say go first again? God, it's always me. Well, I figured the big things that I do, the really big things that I do, I figured if I was to do a version of those, but really, really small, I reckon that's something that I could put out to sell easily.
Okay.
But also would make quite an interesting collection. So, I wouldn't actually put them up for sale until I'd perhaps got 30 of them, say.
Yes, that's the idea. Mm-hmm.
Mm. So no, I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm all for doing anything like that.
Okay, so do you have sizes in mind? Do you want to do one size or a variety of sizes?
I would. Well, you said small, so I would probably just do this size again. But I'm thinking I might kind of go with a color theme.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
maybe it's Orange October, and I don't know what begins then. Navy November and I don't know. I was just thinking, not to do this kind of thing, but do something similar, but to similar to those, but pick a color.
Okay, so color.
Maybe. But then the other idea I've got is that I do these concertina sketchbooks. You like those things. You know, you're really good. You got on. You like them on Instagram. I also thought that might be quite interesting as something small on paper, and they could be framed. Yeah, I'm toying with it at the moment, but yeah, I've got a couple of ideas.
Okay. Do you have any price? Do you have prices in mind? You know, I think it would be good to discuss.
These I think I've got on my website for £25, which is just under $30, isn't it? So I probably would have to do the same for those. Sorry, so my cat's just come in and is looking underneath. You haven't brought a mouse in, have you? You better not.
Oh, no.
We find mice all over the place.
Uh-oh.
If I was to do them in paper, I would probably go for A4 size, which is pretty similar to letter size. But if I was to do them, to go down the route of my concertina sketchbook pages, I would have to charge closer to £100.
Okay.
So that's the thing. What do I do? Do I go for the really this? And maybe I ought to put the prices up for these little ones. I don't know. But do I do something small, or do I do something? Because all of my pieces that are that size start at 95. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure at the moment. But my husband did say to me the other day that because I do these sketchbooks, he just said, "Why don't you do them as individual ones and then sell them?" So we'll see. We'll see.
That Sergio, the guy, he said there was one year where he tore things out of his sketchbook, and one of the things he recommends is that we frame them, we have them ready to hang, because as compared to large pieces which people are committed to and committed to hanging, you know, smaller pieces could be tossed, you know, somewhere. So he recommended that we frame, even if it's something we're tearing from our sketchbooks, we frame them, framed, so that when they arrive, they can either quickly go on the table or a mantle or on the wall. So yeah, so you have something. You definitely have options. And then let's talk about promotion. So you already do your you already show us your sketchbook every day.
Yeah.
So maybe it would simply be a matter of showing it to us framed.
Yep.
You know, and then inviting us along the journey. When I asked a question in the group, because I told him that I've never had a show, I've never had an exhibition, I'm still fairly new. He said to invite the audience on the journey and, you know, be vulnerable and tell the audience how important this is to me and how much I would love for everyone to come along and support this, you know. So I just think it'll be a really great way to get something going. So do you blog, Alison?
I do.
Okay.
Not as often as I should. I had set myself a goal to blog once a week, but I haven't blogged for 4 weeks. So.
That's what it is. So maybe you could create a blog.
Yeah.
Announcing this, and then at the bottom, add the opt-in and say if you want to be the first to know about what's going on, you know, join my newsletter, you know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was thinking my newsletter's due to go out today. It won't go out today. It's ready, but it won't go out today. And I was going to put something, so I've been invited to take part in an art challenge. More to come.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'll get it out there.
Okay, so it sounds like you have a plan.
I have a plan. I've just got to decide which. I know, maybe I could do both, because, you know, I'm greedy. I could do two.
So yeah.
Well, the thing is that once I've got loads of these downstairs. once I've got these out and on the table, it makes sense to do half a dozen at a time.
Absolutely.
So, whereas with the paper ones, that's something that, I mean, every single night I sit down and I do that sketchbook. So I would just be doing that instead. So I'll see. I'll keep thinking.
Okay. All right. Okay. So is there anything else you would like to?
Did I tell you that I thought I'd identified who my ideal client was?
No.
The luxury.
Oh yes, you did.
Yacht.
You did tell yacht designers. You did say.
But Michelle wasn't. You can tell us.
That's
again.
right.
Okay. Well, that's what I've been doing, and I spoke to my son about it, and he works in sales and marketing, and he's given me some really good leads of luxury yachts companies. So I'm just contacting people. Nobody's come back to me yet, but you know what? Knock on 100 doors, get 100 no's.
Then you're getting a yes the next time.
Fantastic.
But I feel more positive now than I ever have done, because I can see that these pieces of artwork will happily sit in any ship. They haven't got to worry about glass breaking. They're easy to clean. They're not heavy. It's a no-brainer.
So I have a question for you, because I'm sure even though you've identified this as your ultimate ideal client, you're still in the shows, you're still doing stuff online. So are you going to have a separate portfolio to show to these people, like, to package it?
I think what I will do is, if I can get my foot in the door from one of these shipbuilders or whatever, I will carry on with this under the sea theme, because that's what they will want. And I will use all the other stuff that I'm doing on my other presents. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Maybe for the next year, but beyond that, well, let's do squirrels or magpies, or you know. So if that then becomes my bread and butter money, it'll have to be a two-sided project, won't it? Two-sided. I'd have to maybe have a website or something. I don't know. We'll worry about that when the money starts rolling in.
The reason why I asked is I know when you're approaching designers, contractors, etc., the presentation is completely different as compared to what we're doing online. Separate things. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. No, I will keep it separate. So
I would interject that you might want to consider that they may be interesting in having your images in a different format. Be sure that you look into reproduction of these images in large pieces, say like wall covering, because sometimes they might like the option to use it across a wall versus a piece of artwork on the wall. That's what I've been exposed to a lot in the last several years. You know, if you could consider that, what the image might look like if it was enlarged, you know, and would it serve that industry as well if it were enlarged? You know, because down a hallway or in a small anteroom or something like that, where it's a specialty space and they've just sat down in an intimate specialty space where your image is now completely surrounding them. I mean, there are different ways to think about selling your images.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So is there anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you. You, Marianne.
Would you leave me till last today? Can I request that?
Sure. Okay. All right.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks.
Michelle, you missed most of the call last week, but I did share the idea of the challenge with you. So,
and I like that idea, and I like doing it small format, and I like doing it on small board. You know, like the cradled. You know, like this. You know, and you know, I usually do them in pairs. You know, so. But I also have done works on paper, and I think that if we're trying to talk, these are my, daily things, and can't really see it, but, I sell them for $70 each, and I don't know whether um, they're what I do as a warm up, because I have 3 cups that I put in my studio. Have I talked to you about this before?
Yes, it's a really great idea.
And
No, I haven't heard this.
No, I don't.
I have 3 cups that I set up. One has composition, one has color, and one has dominance. So I pick a scrap of paper out of each one, and that is my game plan for doing my little daily paintings. And what that has led me to is to doing work that doesn't necessarily look like my work. And I think that's fun. Like, surprise, surprise. I change it up, shake it up a bit. So I really like that idea of continuing that. But the thing is, I like small works, especially before the holiday season. But if we want it to make them really affordable, I've got a bunch of these mini canvases, that we could. I don't know was yours on canvas or board, Allison?
It's canvas.
Okay.
The little 4x4-inch canvases.
Okay, I think these are 6x6, if I'm not mistaken. These are 6x6. The ones that I had shown you earlier are 8x8, and the small, the ones that are matted on paper are 5x5 or 5x7. So I think the thing that there are advantages and disadvantages to all, but would we want to be consistent with the same format? Would we want to just have it all works limited to so many square inches or so many square centimeters? What would we like to do? Because I also bought these because we were having like postcards. These are 5x7, and and they're tiny and they're inexpensive, and I think these are about 5x7, the same size as a postcard. So I like the idea of keeping work under a certain price point. I like the idea of keeping work under a certain size. I would love to do it. The challenge is to do one every day. That'd be great. I usually do them in pairs, so maybe I do a pair every 2 days. I don't, whatever might work, or as you had suggested that it's better to do if you have them all on a flat surface, you'd like to do a dozen, because I like the idea of also hanging them in an arrangement. I have had before like a grid of 9, 3x3 or 4x4, or I like odd numbers, so a grid of 9 worked really well here in the studio, and I could have a few groupings of 9, and all set up for the holiday. I don't know. And then I love the idea of a blog, but I could do, what I could do is a flyer of all of our work on a sale. I don't know how to market together, but that's what we can conquer, as Shirley suggested, based on what we've learned in this course. And I would say either the Facebook platform or Instagram, either one is fine with me, and why not do both, and then it can have a separate email mailing to my clientele. And oh, by the way, I've got these partners in crime that have their work too. But, I think it's a great idea. I really like that. It would be something other than working on a hotel commission, and I like that.
Something caught my attention.
What was that?
So I'm trying to. I think your why was about teaching. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, a large part of your audience, they're your students or potential students. Am I correct?
Yes.
So I thought the idea of the buckets to share with them.
That you're right. That was going to be my giveaway, one of my lead magnets.
Okay.
And when I do demos here in the studio, because every on summer weekends we have on Saturdays demos. We have 3 artist demo, and I made sure that I signed up each and every month, and each month I did that. You know, showed them my buckets. But yeah, that is definitely that's on my, because I was trying to decide whether it would be incorporated in the first lesson or it would be incorporated as the giveaway, the freebie. Yeah, because it's something I've been doing for years now, and it's been very helpful. You know, we can't all, you know, I'm committed to, did I share with you that what I had gleaned from that podcast? That this one woman, it was a podcast. I have it accredited. What I'll do is I will load it on our Facebook page, because it's all about quality, and it was taken from an interview that I heard online, Art and Business. It wasn't Alexis's podcast. It wasn't. It might have been the Savvy Painter. Did I mention that before, Marianne?
You mentioned something about that, and I know that there's one blogcast, Art and Cocktails. I've also found the Savvy Painter podcast, but you know, there's so many that I don't know which one you're talking about. So, so you'd have to. I'd be happy to. I would love to see which one you were actually listening to.
Okay, well, it's accredited, I think, on my on because I listed hers, and I will just put it on, and hopefully, because I subscribe to all those podcasts, Art and Business, Savvy Painter, Art and Cocktails, and two artists walked into a bar, you know, that I listen to them all. Sometimes I wonder if I have any time to make art. I'm listening to podcasts. But anyway, those are my thoughts. But yes, very definitely it was part of my lead magnet learning.
Yes. So I just think creating these pieces and telling them, like, today I picked this bucket, I picked this one. This is what I created.
Well, I usually write on the piece which 3 things I drew. I can show you some old examples that weren't suitable for framing. And they have some of those points. Like I have a whole, you know, because this might be some of these, but let's see. Okay. And I usually date them too, you know, because I have little things like this. Usually I write on them what they are. I'm sure. I must have sold all of those. Oh, here we go. High Horizon. The color was a triad.
Okay.
And the emphasis was to be on color, you know. So, oh, here's another one. That the composition was grid. The colors were to be warm and analogous, and the emphasis was supposed to be on repetition. But I don't see that I did much of that. So, you know, but they're just fun. They're exercises that keep me out of trouble.
Yeah, I think to share that, to share what, just as you did with us right now.
Okay.
It connects with your why, and because of that, it'll connect with your audience.
It does. So, you know, and I put in that emphasis bucket. Sometimes I do collage, or the emphasis on texture, the emphasis on repetition, or you know, there's even a dominance. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just the dots connected, and I think your audience would really respond to that. Even I don't do abstracts. Well, I do abstracts when I'm playing, but I haven't done any professional abstracts. So to be on your list and to see you in the process of showing these different kinds of composition and how you bring them to life, I think every artist would, it would speak to us. So
thank you.
It sounds like you have a plan.
Yes.
Do you blog, Michelle?
I do not.
You intend to?
I'm fearful that, see, before I would do that, I would absolutely need to be committed to it. And right now I'm just not, even though I might think it'd be Like what I would probably like to do is to keep in touch maybe every quarter with old clients. And right now, I don't have the flyer that I intend to have a studio sale of old work. Did we talked about that, right? And didn't we? Or maybe it was something that I set up long ago when Alexis threw down the gauntlet. How are you going to earn so much money within so much time? How are you going to do it? And I said, well, my hotel commission, my sale to old clients, and what else did I say? But well, the hotel commission was a disappointment because it was less than half of what it was going to be before. But November 1st is coming up, so I need to have that sale quickly, and need to schedule it and get the flyer out.
Okay, so even if you don't blog, and there are lots of artists who don't blog, they just share what they share on social media. Would
Yeah.
you be willing to make this announcement to your list?
To send out to my
Like,
list? Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then maybe for the duration of the challenge, maybe once a week, update them on what you're doing.
Okay. Okay.
Again, we want to put all these things to test, So yeah, it sounds like you have a plan.
How long do you foresee the challenge running for?
So in the group, he announced that I think because there are a couple of oil painters, he said if the pieces were ready to sell by the 1st of December, that would be great. But
Okay.
he also proposed that the earlier the better. So what I think is to run the challenge throughout October and then have the launch, create all the hoopla and have the launch, I think in November. I think December is a little late.
Okay.
Like mid or end, like just before Thanksgiving weekend, something like that.
When do people shop? When do people get into shopping mode? Looking
People
for.
get into shopping mode around that time. Yes.
So around that, not to compete with Black Friday. We don't want that either. So maybe a week before Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to share, Michelle?
I locked myself out of my house again yesterday.
Oh,
I've owned that for 30 years. For 30 years, in the last month, I've locked myself out twice.
oh boy.
My goodness,
Earned.
what's going on?
Well, I left the house with a lot on my mind, and I wasn't thinking. I didn't go through my typical process, but yes, that's
Hi.
exactly it. Hey,
Hi, dear.
Sorry for being late. Hi.
Hi. Hi. I'm glad you could make it.
Fine, thanks. I'm sorry for being late, but I had a meeting and
Yeah,
it
it's fine.
lasted longer.
Glad you're.
Can I make a suggestion, Michelle?
sure.
Get yourself a keypad that's on the front door that you have a numbered entry. We don't have keys at all.
That's a great idea.
It's brilliant because that way I never had to worry about my children not being able to let themselves in, losing keys. Works a treat.
Recognize thumbprints, maybe even, or
And maybe one do that now. I don't know. We had ours put in here 3 years ago, so I'm sure there'll be all sorts that are available now.
I love that idea. Now, is it fail safe in the event of an emergency? Does it, how we either have fail safe or fail secure? If there's a fire, for example, all the electrical system, but I'm thinking more commercial work, that
Well,
the door.
this is battery operated. It lets you know when the battery's wearing down. You just put a new battery in.
Good. So it's completely independent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, no, it really works. Really pleased with it.
Yeah. But what was so cute is the locksmith actually went over because my yard You know, I live in a row house on Capitol Hill, and it's all bricked in, and it's not, you know, the back is yard is bricked in, and I have a 4-foot drop, you know, from, and my neighbors even have a fence above that. So to get into it, they sit about 4 feet higher than my property. And so what I have to do to get into my yard is somebody had to swing over a 4-foot fence on a step ladder, step on the itty bitty ledge of the brick part, and then hang out at the back door so they could step on the iron bar. And that locksmith did it. He did it. You know? Borrowed my neighbor's step ladder, and he did it. You know, because he couldn't get in the front door. He had to go in through the back. And but it was very cute. I'm sorry, didn't mean to take up any time. But thank you for the suggestion. I'm going to do that. You know, that's.
And you just have to make sure you don't forget the number.
That may be an issue, wouldn't it? How many digits is a number?
Our one is 4.
4. Oh, that'll be easy to remember.
Yeah.
It's easy to remember.
Okay. So I better make it something other than my birthday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you, folks.
Thank you.
So can I ask another question on this challenge?
Mhm.
So are we going to say a maximum? So a maximum size of, say, what? 6 by 6, 8 by 8, 10 by 10?
I think it's the size isn't really the issue, especially when you could there's a vast difference between your everyday work. You know, the
Okay.
whole idea is just things that people can pick up without thinking a lot. You know, it's not like this major investment.
Okay, so is there a price? Maybe in lieu of a size, maybe a price max?
Yeah, he did suggest under 500, but he was
Ooh.
like, what moves? And again, this is a gallery. This is somebody whose pieces are
Yeah.
missing. But he said what he found to be successful was the 150 to 50 range. But again, that's a certain kind of art.
Yeah, I think my experience here has been that if work is under $100, you know, under $75, it's more likely to move than something in the 100 plus. So if that's you know, because I have standards, certain size retails for this amount, certain size retails for this amount, then that will help me decide what size I have to go to. Yeah.
Okay. So under the circumstances, what would be, you know, an ideal size and price that isn't a huge commitment? It will be easy to make, you know.
I like the 6 by 6 or the 8 by 8. Actually, these go for over 100, so I would say probably 6 by 6. If that works for me, I don't know what you all think. You know, we probably all have different price standards, but that is what I would do.
All right. So yeah. We all have to do what will work for our audiences.
Completely lost visual.
So, do you have events at the factory?
Factory? Yes, we do. We have a big holiday party. We have a community holiday party, and then we have a special client party. So this is good. It's good to have this challenge now for this reason and for our own group, you know, our own group and for the factory. You know, it's good to have. Plus, we have a gallery that sells small works during the month of December. And we have an off-site gallery that we all participate in called Mosaic that as part of our membership, we can participate in their shows, and they have a small work show in December.
Okay. The reason why I was asking is because even though our focus is online, images of an event will make the art more desirable.
Yeah.
Online,
Yeah.
Ooh,
you know. So that's why I was asking.
okay. Well, I will take photographs.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Michelle, are you?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Beata, we're discussing the challenge that we
Yes.
started talking about last week, and we're getting into the details. What we would like to create, how much we would like to price them, how we would like to advertise, market, talk about them. So, have you thought about it?
Um, I yeah, I was thinking about it, but if it's so small, so 6 by 6, then I would go for small abstract pieces. Otherwise, I was hesitating between figurative and abstract, but I wouldn't make 6 by 6 sized figurative work. That's simply too small for me. For a figurative one.
I mean, the size, ultimately, the size is, so when you look at all your work, what takes the least effort? And, because the goal of this challenge is, to create something fun, something that doesn't take a lot of time so that we can sell them fast,
Best.
but still. So, with those parameters, what would you like to create?
I have no idea how the challenge looks like. I thought that I would create one piece each day
Okay.
during
That's the ideal.
October.
That's the ideal. Obviously, some of us create once a week, but we create 10, you know. So,
Obviously, obviously, it can work that I would start, let's say, 5 or 6 pieces or 10 pieces a day,
it,
and I
we
don't
share
know how long it will
Yeah,
it will
exactly.
last until I can finish them, but hopefully I would finish all of the 30 pieces during the months.
Yeah. So the goal, regardless of how we create them, maybe to share them once a day. Because
Yeah,
the
that.
whole idea is to create momentum, create interest, create a story, something that people would like to say, oh, what you going to do tomorrow? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you think you'd like to do?
Probably I would practice different type of activities. Sometimes I would practice written in abstract pieces. Another day, let's say, structure in it. So probably I'm going to raise some ideas, write them down, and then start from them. And I would share it on Instagram and also on my Facebook page.
Okay.
What would you recommend?
You choose. I don't like Facebook anymore, so I clear on it. But then you decide. You decide where you feel your audience is, and you could do both.
Yeah, I
We
can
were
do both.
discussing
Yeah.
the possibility of creating a newsletter and have, even if it's a tiny list, it doesn't matter. To
Yes.
announce the challenge to your list and on social media to say, if you want to be the first to know about this when it's done, sign up to my email list, to, to
Okay.
implement everything that Alexis has taught us. Use this challenge. Yeah.
That's very good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have some more new subscribers.
Yeah. And
That's
then,
a great idea to see how it works.
exactly. Wouldn't it be great if at the end of this challenge, you all had 100 new subscribers?
Yes, 100 new
That'd be
subscribers.
wonderful.
Great. Yeah, and I think they should be ideal clients.
Well, yes. So that goes. So I think we have to think about all these things as we're creating these pieces. You know, is this going to speak to my ideal client? Is this a good entry level piece for my ideal client? You know, so
Yeah,
is it connected
that's
to my
definitely.
why? You know, yeah. So did you have any prices in mind?
Not yet. I have these small pieces, but they are framed.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon,
Oops.
your Dropbox is full.
Sorry.
Who is it? Who is that?
Mr. Mac.
Not me.
It's not me.
So, probably I'm going to offer
Mhm.
framed and unframed, so there are going to be different prices
Okay.
for them.
Just as a side note, one of the things that the challenge, the person who's hosting the challenge recommended was to have everything ready to hang.
Yeah.
Ready to hang.
When people buy small pieces which are not ready to hang, so that's just a side note. It would be, I think it would be easier to move if they were framed, or if they were canvases already wired. You know.
Yeah.
And what are you going to use? Small canvases ready to hang, or
Whatever medium you use, or whatever you're inspired, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm going to check what's available currently. Yeah.
You probably need to think about it some more. Yeah, so maybe on Friday you'll let us know.
Yeah, I'm going to visit the art supply shop and pick up the pieces.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Nothing.
Okay. All right.
Have you recorded the beginning? Because in that case, I can
I'll post that in a bad girl, but
watch
today
it.
I'm free, so I'll post all the videos.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's my turn because
Yes.
Marianne, she wants to go
And
last.
Marianne wants to still wait to be last.
Yes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh
Because
yes.
I can no longer see you. I messed up my phone doing something, and I can't see any of you. All I can do is hear it. So
Oh, I thought you intentionally.
no. It's drop the phone, hit the wrong button. Next thing you know, I can't get the video back, and I have fiddled trying to get the video back, and I can't get it back. So please go ahead.
Okay.
Can I, just before you start, Shirley, can I ask how many people are actually members of this group?
The Facebook group, it's I'm actually in there right now. Ooh, a little over 200, I think. And that's something he's been doing over time. I don't think this is
No. I don't mean his group. I mean our group.
Oh, our group? 9? Or?
All right. So who are these other people that we don't see?
Well, one of them is the girl that was part of my threesome. The first person dropped out. She pulled out of the course altogether and left just the two of us. And she and I are so much alike that helping each other along really isn't very effective. But she's a sweet girl, and she's a member of the group. And she is, I think, checking in, but not actively involved in showing up at to talk to us. She's watching the videos, I think.
Okay.
Who is that, Marianne? What is her name?
Jennifer Russell. Jennifer Karasik Russell. Lovely young lady.
Okay. And then Susan. Susan was on our very first call, but she hasn't been with us since. There's Dee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's happened to her?
Yeah, she looks like she's been really busy. You know,
Her schedule's pretty full.
yeah, I follow her. I see all the she's been crazy busy. There's Camilla, and then there's Jennifer from my group. When I started this, she said she would take part, but she hasn't joined in anything.
Who's that? Sorry.
Jennifer. She's in my triad.
Okay.
Jennifer Monroe, but
she's in Florida, right?
No, she's in Arizona.
Oh, okay. There was somebody in Florida.
That was Susan.
Okay.
Yes.
So these people that don't show up, are they likely to want to take part in this? Have you had any communication with them?
No, apart from these calls, I don't communicate, but I'll post it. I'm waiting for the introductory email from Sergio. So when it comes, I'll read it. I'll take the points, relevant points, and I'll create a post.
Okay.
So
because what's going through my mind is what would be really, really lovely would be if we could each give each other a piece of our work so that we each have somebody else's work just to keep. But if there's too many people in the group, it's just not going to be possible.
Well, this is our own group, 5 of us. So that's enough.
Okay, that's doable.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So
nice. But 10 people, yeah, 10's not doable. Okay. All right, sorry, your turn, Shirley. I'll be quiet.
No. So for me, my challenge with the challenge is I have too many ideas going on. So with my main Instagram, where I engage the most, I'm thinking I can't do small illustrations. So one of Sergio's in the past, he did prints at a crazy affordable price. So I'm thinking about doing a specific idea, which I don't want to say it's the little black dress, but it'll have black. So it's either
the
little black dress or a black hat, black lace. It'll be a black themed thing. And I can't do anything smaller than 18 by 24. It'll make me crazy. But to create prints, 8 by 10 prints from, and sell them at. So that's one idea. I have 6 Instagrams for my art.
Because I noticed you had several.
Yeah, I have these different ideas and styles. So if I can raise the money for the supplies, I'll do them all. Because the question is not about the desire to paint. That's I love painting. That's my happy thing. So I have one which is dedicated to flowers, all flowers. So I'm planning to do small watercolor roses. Something you could put in a really dainty frame and put on your nightstand. And then I have my pink world where everything is pink. Those I can do as little as 11 by 14. I can't do anything smaller. So instead of doing them and framing them, I plan to do them on canvas boards. Just to illustrate the fact that this is a lesser priced something. And then I have my abstract flowers like the one behind. Maybe I won't go there because those will not make sense small. So yeah, I'll just do 3. 3 ideas. The black ladies, the black I don't know what to call it. Black something.
Magic.
Beauty.
The black, the roses, and then the pink ladies.
Little black dress is a term that everybody can, I think, relate to.
Absolutely.
I agree, because even though, because I already know what I want to do. So even if the focus is on the black hat or the black gloves, I guess they will still be wearing black dresses. So I'll call it the little black dress. And pricing, I have a problem with pricing. Before Alexis, my prices were quite low. I would sell once in a while. After Alexis, I spiked them up to what I really want them to be, and I haven't sold anything. So I think with the prints, because I like to mat and frame my prints. I don't want, again, it's the same thing. I don't want them to arrive and not. So I'll do those at 100 for 8 by 10. And then the rest, I'll figure the little roses, 150. Again, framed, ready to go. And then promotion, I'll post on Instagram as I do. Possibly create a little story for people to follow along with, and have a newsletter for each offering. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, and just talk about it daily, and what the engagement is like. And one thing I've never really done is, does anybody follow Kelly Folsom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really admire the way she posts the prices out there in the open, and maybe this challenge will be my way of starting that, to post the prices and say this is going to be for sale, because I don't do that.
I don't do that either.
Yeah, so I'm going to challenge myself in this challenge to post my prices on all the works that are available to sell. So
Terrific.
Very good.
So yeah, that's about all I have planned. And maybe when I finish the collection, I feel like I'll need to hire actors to have an event. I know that's silly. It would be. I wish I could have an event, in my studio or even in my living room, just again to show, show something real world to put online. So I'll see who I can put together. I don't know. That's about it for me.
Okay. That leaves me, right?
Yeah.
Your turn.
I will have to apologize to all of you that I am not gung-ho about this. But and I'm not going to go on too long about why I'm not. But about 4 years ago, I did smalls, and I probably had 60 to 80 of them, and showed them at my house open studio house show, and didn't sell any. And I think they were really inexpensive little watercolor pieces, about 5 by 7, I believe. I strung across the wall, one of the walls in my living room, laundry lines, and I clipped all of these to the laundry lines because there were so many of them. I didn't want people to have to go through a bin to look at them. Money's always an issue, so I didn't frame any of them. I just felt like if someone wanted something, that they would have a way to get it inexpensively and frame it, mat it themselves. Well, that whole thing didn't work. Then I got involved with 8 by 8 inch pieces in acrylic, more like my abstracts. I did this last year, and I probably had 20 of them matted. I also had a bin full of individuals that could be matted, and I showed an example of matting and framing, really nicely, contemporarily done, and offered to have that done for anybody who wanted to purchase one.
Mm-hmm.
My sale price on a matted and framed 8x8 was let's see, it was, I think the final price tag for a matted and framed piece was $165.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very clean and neat looking. And I only sold one of these. So I have a whole bunch of mats for 8x8. And I didn't buy extra frames because I just couldn't swing the excess funds. I also did a month-long smalls challenge last September, where every day you produce a piece and show it online. And one of my comeaways from that was these aren't good. And they're like playing, and that's perfectly fine. But they weren't, when I go back over my pictures of those, I'm not thrilled with it because they don't all feel like pieces that should be shown.
Got it.
And I kind of get a negative gut reaction to this forcing the showing of everything that I put my hands on. I know it's important to be vulnerable. I know it's important to share what's going on in your life, but I don't see a lot of quality stuff coming out of that. And I'm becoming more sensitive to being sure that what I show
Mm-hmm.
is not my least effort, but maybe the best I can do. So the idea of having to step back into that mindset that just bothers me, especially it's just my personal, where I happen to be personally with
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just started a new painting on Saturday that is the new theme I want to follow. And I have done a few smalls just to test color, to see if I was in the realm of something. And I've made a decision not to allow what is the trendy in interior design or anything else to affect this body of work. I want it to be something that is more a natural expression from me.
Yeah.
And as I will listen to all of you be excited about this, or at least start out excited about it, I was trying to think: is there anything I could even consider doing that would not take up too much time and would not mess with my current theme? Um, it would mean me dropping back to pen and ink, which is not what I'm doing for sale, and they'd have to be tiny. But I do those for release every now and then, and even though they are realistic somewhat, they are still a form of release for me. They're not as hard for me as stepping into the abstract mode, which requires me to release control, which is harder for me actually. So I am in a dilemma with this. One, I don't have a blog and don't have any intention of having one anytime soon. I don't have a newsletter, don't have any desire to have one. I am more of in a mental state of development. And the development doesn't necessarily mean showing it to everybody. When I took this class, I was poking the bear because I had really considered completely stepping away from sales. It's not that I don't want to sell at some point. I do, but I feel very much like I'm in a state of development. And I don't know if it's going to create something that's going to be worth selling. I liked what you said, Michelle, about your smalls being different from what you do every day. I thought, well, maybe I could approach it like that.
Uh-huh.
Whether or not I'd want to sell it or focus on a price tag, this is still a dilemma for me because I now have a certain thing I've offered at $145. I offered 8x8 small abstracts in mats, double mats, and they look good. They're neat, clean, and they're ready for someone else to frame. But even shipping those, I have to consider how will I get them to potential interested people. Shipping a mat that's not protected means the mat may show up with a dog ear or something that makes it imperfect by the time it gets to the client. That bothers me. That's problematic too. And I don't really want to spend any money right now framing. I would really like to work with what I've got on hand
Yeah.
and not spend any money because my income this year has been nil. I'm in the red. So I want to work with what I have on hand, and I want to be excited about it. So I feel like standing back and watching you all rather than committing.
Yeah.
If I do some, they may be pen and inks, but they'll do what feels right in the moment for me rather than telling you what I'm going to do up front. So that's copping out, but that's honest.
No, I think you have to honor where you are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you have to honor where you are. Um, you've had these experiences. Maybe you don't want to do small works. I think you have to honor where you are. And if you should do the pen and ink, what's the story? Why are you doing them? And that's something we all have to consider because it's not going to be enough to just show them every day. There has to be a story. There has to be something which is going to engage the audience. For me personally, much as I would be so happy if I sold, I would be even happier if I engaged a true audience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, for me, when I was coming up through school, I always fell back on what was safer for me, and safer for me was a ruler and a technical pen or pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And something where I could measure it and be sure this is a Virgo act. I'm not a Virgo, but I got a lot of Virgo in my chart. It's safer to go with what I could create with a straight edge. So I leaned on that. That's why I got into trompe l'oeil because I could draft that baby out and I felt safe in that space. But it also limited me I knew it did. So breaking into the things away from pen and ink was really pushing me. So when I pick up pen and ink, it's more of a falling back to an easy thing. Not that I'm the greatest realist in drafting, but it's a safe space, believe it or not. Oh goodness.
yeah. So again, I'll say it. You have to honor where you are.
Okay.
Yeah, honor where.
We
At the end of the day, we've taken this course. It's not the most expensive course, but it's not the cheapest. And I still want to return. I still
Want to make up about what you invested. I completely get it because I'm
I
saying.
want to do something with it and say, okay. And yes, I will say the greatest return has been meeting you. Lovely.
I agree.
Well, that's mine too, right now. And I thought, that I don't want to fall back into slumber. I would really like to keep this connection going because it's forcing me to think about it.
Mhm.
And it's forcing me to show up. And I need something that is a mark in my calendar that makes me show up so that, this is good for me. And I love meeting all of you. And I like the potential of the friendships that come out of this.
Absolutely. But I would also like a financial return.
Absolutely.
Got it. Yeah.
So and I'm speaking for myself. I couldn't stay in the momentum at the beginning because I was still figuring a lot of things out. My Jennifer and my group said, Alexis kept on saying, oh, be where you are, whatever. And Jennifer said, if she knew then what she knows now, she would have stayed in the momentum and done everything while everything was hot.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I still want to say, okay, I tried this. I did everything and it either worked or it didn't. Because right now I know I haven't done everything.
And I think this is a good plan to get us to do everything in a different way, in a very non-threatening, non-expensive way. And I know you, Allison, have done everything, and but still, this would be a very just an investment of time, less so with materials. So why not? Why not? But I do understand, Marianne, where you're coming from, and I wondered if you might have any thoughts about doing prints of larger works? But again, you don't want to cost. I do understand it. You want to limit your exposure. And
well, I have an agreement with a photographer. Someone has been. This is one of those blessings that comes out of the ethers. I used to be married. I used to live about 25 miles from where I am right now, out on a lake. When my life was in a better position financially too. And this guy, his parents used to own all the property out in this development, and they sold it off little by little. I didn't know him back when I lived out there, but when I met him again about 2.5 years ago, I asked him if he was any relation to so and so, and he said, "Oh, well, those are my parents. We used to own all of that area." I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" And I told him I used to live out there, and then I told him about leaving all of it and to be on my own. And I think he just decided he was going to be very kind to me because
oh,
he photographs all my work for free.
oh my
And
goodness.
he does giclées. He is an exceptional photographer. So this is a huge gift, and he is willing to photograph my work. And then he has all the giclée stuff. He doesn't do gigantic ones, but his money is made on the back end when I make giclées. So the whole point of me taking the course was thinking, come on, you got to get up off your ass. You have to pay this guy back in some fashion by ordering giclées from him. So I'm not dead. I'm not dead to, what Alexis had to say. I'm just trying to bring something that's closer to, that has more meaning to me personally,
Yeah.
to start really getting a momentum going to where I want to do this. The fire is there. It's just the embers are burning. It's just that I'm trying to use the energy I've got in a way that it means more to me than what I was producing before, which was strictly what other people were asking for. So I've got the tiger. I've got a hold of the tail right now, I believe. And it's if I do your challenge, I'm not sure what's going to come of it, but I might fall back to pen and ink because it's the thing I can do without. It doesn't. Well, it's not stressing to me. It's not like painting is stressing to me, but it's an easier thing for me to put in my hands and just do.
Yeah.
So I may end up with that as a result from this. But anyways.
Yeah. There's one thing I forgot to add. I think it applies to all of us. Sergio recommended that while we were promoting these small pieces, to continue to promote our original pieces. As
Okay.
and again, at the end of the day, I'm very clear that the intention is to create momentum. So I just wanted to say that so that we don't think that, oh, this is the only thing we're going to focus on.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So Marianne, you have to listen to your heart and honor where you are.
Well, I appreciate your support. I will continue to be active, and we will see what shows up on Friday because I feel the need to at least take part in some fashion.
I'll create a thread in the just. I don't like the idea of needing to stay accountable. For me, it's more about staying inspired. So
I like that.
That works for me.
So I'll create a thread in the post, even if it's an idea you're exploring, even if you're not sure about what you want to create. Just post a picture of what you have, so that we can, we can have a discussion and support each other.
Okay.
Hey, Marianne, is there anything else you would like to share?
That's plenty. I think that was enough.
Okay then.
So, can I just ask one more question? I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, so Marianne, you are a bit of a question mark as to whether or not you're going to take part. Camilla, I'm supposed to be speaking to her tomorrow, but I haven't spoken to her for weeks. Michelle, you're down for it. Shirley Ann, Beata, and Alison. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you think it would be fun to do a swap at the end of it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
what I would recommend is that we get to choose what we want.
Yeah.
You know, we get to, it would be like shopping, but we're swapping, if that makes sense. So when I'm done, I'll say, okay, guys, here are my things. Choose your favorite.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
yeah.
I did a print exchange a couple of years ago. There were 6 of us, I think. And I have to say, it was enormous fun. And what we did was we had to come up with 5 words. And you had to produce a piece of work in response to these people's 5 words. So I had to do it for all these 5 people. And my words were fly away on gossamer wings.
Oh.
So I did a lino print of an owl flying. But it's lovely because what I have now is that I have all of these other people's work, and it's in a folder and it's kept nice. And who knows, one day it could be worth lots and lots of money. But that, regardless of that, I can open this up and just look at one woman was rubbish, absolute rubbish. She really didn't take part at all. And I'll look it out and show it to you next time. But just the other people's work, the fact that the other people put so much effort into it, and we've got to share each other's work. We've got something, I can look at it and think, oh, that was a really fun thing to do. So it would be lovely to have that kind of memento of what we're all trying to achieve.
It would be wonderful.
Even if Marianne isn't going to take part.
Well, I may take part, but I may not do this daily. I'm not sure how much.
I'm teasing you, don't worry.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. And I'll share another well, not personal, but my coach keeps on telling me that I need to have fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
You know, she was like, you know, you're stuck in here and nothing is working. You know, you need to let go and have fun. So the more fun we can make this, the better.
Yeah. If you'd have known me 10 years ago, you would have thought I was the most miserable bitch under the sun. Really, really, really miserable. And I was really, really, really miserable. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I realised that, you know, I probably, it was around the time I hit 50. If I don't make the most of what I've got left, what a waste. So I like to laugh every single day if I can, at least a dozen times. You have to have fun.
You do.
The number one goal is fun. The rest,
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
The interesting thing that came out of it for me is that I used to get really offended by people very, very quickly. You know, somebody cut me up in a queue or cut me up at the lights. And now I just think, you know what? It's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
Really works. Really, really works. I'm so much more relaxed. No.
and again, we're artists. You know, we're supposed to be the ones inspiring everyone else to lighten up. You know?
Absolutely.
So this is good. I like where this is ending today.
Cool. Big smiles.
Next time I won't mess the phone up in the middle so I can see you all.
Oh,
I have to say, Marianne, your picture is beautiful.
it is.
Yes.
I'm glad I picked a good one from a few years ago.
Okie dokie.
All right. So I'll create the post, whatever guidelines there are, and let's share some pictures, even if we're not sure or whatever. Let's just share and, you know, have fun.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
All right.
Thank you.
See you Friday.
All right. See you.
Bye, ladies. Bye-bye.